Drapers Hall, home of the Drapers Company, one of the oldest and most renowned of the livery companies, is tonight, on this night, the 6th of March 1991, the venue for a very special royal visitor. First built in 1516, it was completely destroyed by the Great Fire in 1666. Rebuilt, it later had to endure the high explosive bombs of the Blitz some 280 years later. Today, the Drapers are trustees to a large number of charities. Education and the elderly are to name but two, and large numbers of people in need receive benefits each year. In days of yore, however, the Drapers worked within the wool trade, and as such, the ram with the golden fleece is seen in many guises, from the architectural to the ornamental around the hall, as a reminder of the company's origins. Tonight, Anthony Betch's production of the Masque of Draperie will be performed in the presence of Her Majesty the Queen. Last-minute rehearsals and fine-tuning are underway, so let's see how they're getting on. Associated, or have been associated with Guildhall School of Music.
Yes, I directed the opera course there for 3 years, from 86 to 89.
And this play tonight, was this specially written for the occasion?
Yes, it was. I was in Canada when John Stitt first of all raised the whole prospect. So he was talking to me in Canada on the one hand, and to Virginia Snyders, who's the head of the drama department at the Guildhall School of Music, on the other, and then we all talked together at three-cornered conversations until I got home.
And how did you select the author then?
That was a suggestion of Virginia Snyders. Micheline Wanda is the name of the author, and she has worked at the Guildhall quite a lot, even with the students who are in this show tonight, and she's done a lot of work for television and radio.
Director, how was he chosen, Mr. Connor?
Again, he works a lot for the Guildhall School of Music. He does their musicals, actually, their American musicals, very often, and does them brilliantly. And he is in close contact with them, and so it was very good that they were all an ensemble who could be mobilized in rather short term.
It's a great honor to start with, always to be offered something like this. It's wonderful. It came as a surprise because I'm normally employed by the Guildhall School of Music and Drama to direct their musicals, and this is a far cry from a musical. However, it's been marvelous challenge for me and also for the students to deal with this text and with the style of presentation. It's been terrific fun.
The text being, as I understand it, the history of the Drapers Company.
Certainly.
So, while directing it, do you feel that you've learnt something about the company that you didn't know before?
I have to confess, I didn't know a great deal about the Drapers Company, but what is interesting is that a great deal of facts have been woven into a rather entertaining script, I think. And so we hope that the audience will also learn a deal about the company as well.
Now, the cast is made up of members of the Guildhall School of Music and Drama.
That's right.
Now, I assume that as they're all still students, this will be their first public performance.
Yes, indeed. And quite a strain, I would think, for them to take their first public performance in front of Her Royal Majesty. So it's quite a pill to swallow, as from the point of view of having nerves tonight. I think they're even more nervous than I am.
Well, I just wonder whether you've got any examples of really bad first night nerves.
Well, I'm quite a good example myself. my main concern, I was dry on people's names. I once dried on my sister's name when I had to introduce her, and it's gone down ever since then. But I had to introduce the cast to Her Majesty, and I'm going to have a crib sheet about me. I have to confess this.
They're being very cool about it, I must say. We've had a series of run-throughs today and yesterday, and I think that probably the fact that they are so busy helps to allay the nerve problems, and they're certainly being very cool about it at the moment.
Would you say that today, and indeed tonight's performance, was a highlight of your career.
Certainly. Oh, absolutely. There's no question of that. I mean, it's a new venture. I've never ever directed anything for royalty before, and indeed for a company as renowned as this. It's the style of performance is totally different, and the surrounds are wonderful. I mean, to actually have the kind of building to perform in as this, it's tremendous. I mean, you only have to walk up the staircase and you have the atmosphere straight away of the history of the company.
Which indeed must help your young cast.
Certainly, absolutely. I mean, it's a tremendous joy simply to walk around and absorb this kind of atmosphere.
Finally, what does tonight's performance really mean to you?
Well, there's also another link back into the past, which I very much appreciated. It was when I was at Oxford, I directed a production of The Midsummer Night's Dream, and the present master, John Stitt, who has remained a great friend, played the role of Lysander. So it's a sort of a linking together of a lot of themes in my career, beginning with when I was an amateur and coming through to tonight.
Anthony, thank you.
Thank you.
Her Majesty is well in evidence around the hall. A portrait by Edward Halliday of the then Princess, who was admitted to the Drapers Company by patrimony in 1947, is seen here bearing the badge of a free woman of the company. Prince Charles is also a member of the company, and a bronze of him by Anita Lafford stands here, as does a portrait bust of the Queen by Lorne Mackean. An important contribution in this reign to Drapers Hall is the letters patent, granted to the company by Her Majesty in 1964. This is the moment. I've just heard that Her Majesty has arrived at the main doors in Throgmorton Street.
Are we on the wrong side? Which car's that?
The Drapers Fellowship has become one of the most influential of the city livery companies. From its medieval origins as a religious fraternity, it was formally recognized in 1364. Her Majesty is greeted by the Lord Mayor, Right Honourable Sir Alexander Graham, and the master of the Drapers Company, Mr. John Stitt. Mr. Philip Chalk, the Master Warden, the second Master Warden, Anthony Woodall, David Stern is the Renter Warden, Nicholas Plain, the Junior Warden, and Robert Strick, who's the clerk to the Drapers Company. The beadle, Mr. Eric Stanton. During the course of this evening's visit, the Queen will be entertained by members of the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, performing a playlet known as a masque. In history, a masque was a court entertainment usually attended by the King and Queen, who sometimes even took part. These events went out of fashion around 1691, and few, if any, performances have taken place for a long period of time. This, then, is the first masque presented by the Drapers Company for 300 years. Her Majesty is escorted up the stairway, where waiting to meet her are the wives of the master, the clerk, and the wardens. The livery hall was enlarged to its present vast proportions in the 1860s and contains 28 marble columns, providing ideal spaces to display the company's collection of royal portraits, which include King William III, George III, and George IV. Frequently, important dinners are held here, but tonight the tables have been removed to make way for the stage on which the play will be presented. A few late arrivals now taking their seats. As Her Majesty enters the hall, she passes wall-mounted displays of the company's royal charters. And so the Queen has now joined the 300 or so guests to enjoy tonight's performance of the Masque of Draperie.
A very fine cabinet, the stairs are for
Will you buy a very fine cabinet?
fair scarf.
Or a rich girdle and hangers?
See here, madam.
Fine cobweb lawn. Good cambric or fair bone lace.
What on earth? A proctor for the poor.
I come in answer to your call and welcome you to the Drapers Hall, the home of the worshipful company of drapers.
The Drapers Hall?
The very same.
I don't believe it. A minute ago, I was at home doing my revision for my Stage 3 certificate in textile technique. Woolen manufacture. What's your name?
I am Jack, apprentice keen, ready to help you with your scheme to learn about the drapers for your examination papers.
Hello? I say, anybody there? Have you seen my sandal? You see, I was... Goodness, how rude. Jason. Jason and the Argonauts. Pleased to see you. I've just got back from some frightfully exciting adventures, fighting fire-breathing dragons and things to get back the golden fleece, and I'm dashed if I can find my sandal. My tiny foot is absolutely frozen.
Oberon! Oberon! Wherefore art thou, Oberon? I only dozed off for a minute in the mulberry tree up there. And when I opened my eyes, Oberon was gone. Oh, woe is me! Oh, my wings and wand! I do declare, my love, I have found thee.
I say, steady on.
Come. Sit thee down upon this flowery bed, whilst I stick musk roses in thy sleek, smooth head.
I say, that's awfully decent of you.
Where were we?
Oh, Jack, apprentice to the drapers, fathers all, who smile upon their people from this hall. who are beatified with peace and pleasure, who govern by right rule and live by measure, that temperately trade upon the growth of their own nation, hating pride and sloth, cutting their coat according to their cloth.
Why are you talking in rhyme?
Oh, I'm afraid I do that all the time.
Oh, well. Look! You can help me with my revision. I've got 3 questions to answer. When is a palace not a palace? When is a college not a college? And when is a mystery not a mystery?
To help you with your questions 3, we must delve back into history. I'll put a girdle round my tale in 20 minutes, and my friends, the apprentices, will play everyone that's in it. I'll quell the sound of London's mighty roar to show you sights you've never seen before. And with music's sweet, harmonious aid, we'll help thee in thy task, fair maid. So come from your sleep, ye worthy men, fair London calls ye back again.
Your Majesty, lords, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for Sir Henry Fitzalwyn, the first Mayor of London back in the 12th century.
"'Tis my great honour, noble Queen, to grace your presence with a scene from earlier times, when woolen cloth served best for king and subject both. The draper and the weaver then, I tell ye, were right pious men. Did many needy souls maintain when misery their lives distrained. Of this great city I was the first mayor, an honour I held 24 years, as in good records may appear. For those around I showed concern when dreadful fire the city did burn, so I a special law did make, that roofs should be of tile or slate. I also raised King Richard's ransom. King John seemed not to think this handsome.
In early times, the manner of drapers was to purchase cloth at home and abroad, with which to trade at fairs and make liveries for great lords.
In 1364, when cheats and rogues became a bore, a royal charter gave the drapers rule over the mystery of wool.
So, when is a mystery not a mystery?
A mystery is not a mystery when it is derived from the Italian word for trade or craft. Great!
Oh, not myself a draper, quite. I processed cloth with all my might on tentagrams bearing my name, situate in St. Swithin's Lane.
Now, Henry VI, who founded Eton, and once by Joan of Arc was beaten, made us this grant of arms, which stands the oldest surviving in the land. The 15th century was our golden time, when all our powers were in their prime.
My name, good sirs, is John Gedney, and though once in prison and once an MP, I overcame both those disasters and was the company's first master. The very year those arms were given were my clouds by such sunshine riven, no clouds too thick to quench the host of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. My draper's trade I plied abroad. In Italy I spread the word of English wool. Our first charter of old let us inspect cloth before it was sold, to ensure no cheating in quality or length, and maintain a weave of the prescribed strength. That is why the golden fleece became the crest of ancient drapery, the noblest and best.
What? Someone mentioned the golden fleece.
I know a bank whereon the wild thyme blows, where oxlips and nodding violet grows.
Post Agincourt, we masters all processed towards Westminster's Hall. I bore a torch, my robes well girt.
I hear that today America has a John Gedney Society.
And even a John Gedney t-shirt. Thomas Howell is my name. My legacy ensured me fame. I kept meticulous accounts, noting down great and small amounts. I traded much with ancient Spain, where it rains mainly in the plain, and kept my fortune in a trunk, along with lots of other junk. I made the Drapers my trustees, and left my money, after fees, to dowry orphan maids from Wales, whether from the hills or dales, in order to assist the nation and to encourage education. With it they founded 2 girls' schools, who smile on scholars, frown on fools.
Hey, my mother went to Howell School, Denby. What a coincidence.
William Lombard, aye. Lawyer, justice, and scholar. Whene'er you looked, my head was buried in a book, Anglo-Saxon, French, or Chaucer. I was a most prolific author. Kentish antiquities my theme. I gave Baedeker his dream. I also laboured for the poor, who suffered much in days of yore. An almshouse seems to be the thing to succour them and make them sing.
So when is a college not a college?
Well, I called it Queen Elizabeth's College, school of kindness, not of knowledge. We prayed to save our Queen always, as still we do up to today. Life and health and peace be all her portion from her Drapers' Hall. By the by, fair Alice dear, I see that velvet cloak you wear once belonged to my dear Jane, 400 years kept out of the rain, and passed down to this present day. Suits you well. A sturdy cloth preserved well from the hungry moth. I also left this precious cup to be displayed when drapers sup, reminding them in simple terms a simple message simply learned. A proctor for the poor am I. Remember them before thou die.
And now, pray mark, my gentles all, the history of the Drapers' Hall.
Our first hall, in St. Swithin's Lane, the source of pride could not remain. So up we got and bought this pile from Henry VIII, who for a while had left it empty after sacking Thomas Cromwell, found him lacking, and of his senses taking leave, commended to him Anne of Cleves. So, forfeiting his head and land, enabled the Drapers to expand. The year was 1543, and here we still remain, you see?
The great fire of London began this morning in the King's baker's house in Pudding Lane, and it hath burned down houses by London Bridge, everyone endeavouring to remove their goods, poor people staying in their houses till the very fire touched them. The poor pigeons even hovered about the windows and balconies till they were some of them burned their wings and fell down. With flames shall reign, and forever, forever, forever shall Satan reign. In hell, with flames shall reign, and forever, forever, forever. There shall be fire again in 1772, and I shall... Oh, all right, I'm going.
There will be a new hall built, as near as may be to the old foundations.
Red brick, a great staircase, a domed staircase, black and white marble chimney piece,
5 Spanish tables,
a frieze of ram's heads,
A courtroom with warm pink wall.
no more rushes on the floor, lest they be a fire hazard, glazed doors, green silk curtains, Brussels carpets,
turkey rugs,
Marble of Verona red.
Languedoc red. Greek red.
No taking of tobacco in the parlour, lest it be a fire hazard.
Oh, I give up.
Sienna marble.
Brescia marble.
Green Cipollino.
Alabaster.
Amber silk.
Wall hangings.
A new painting of the Golden Fleece.
Replant the gardens and they shall be open to all who wish to enjoy them.
Strawberries.
Gooseberries.
Hedges of hawthorn and privet. 2 bowling alleys.
Summer houses.
A marble fountain. 100 damask rose bushes.
Cherry trees.
Apple trees.
Pears.
Plums.
Gardens of pleasure.
Gardens of great pleasure.
Lord, sweetly ever, all haunted charms is looking to this garden comes away.
No persons of rude, uncivil, or wanton carriage, no vagrant minstrels or musicians shall be allowed in this garden. Thank you. As we continue through the centuries, we see the system of apprentices begin to crumble down in London town. And as time shows the need for technical skills to work the country's thriving mills, we remember the pageants and masques of old, when liberal sciences made so bold as to show us grammar, logic, rhetoric,
Astronomy, music, arithmetic,
Fair justice. Discipline. Courage and victory.
Gladness, peace, honor, fortune, and prosperity.
and to join them all came the 19th century and William Sawyer, Knight of Gentry, Clerk of the Company, a man whose foresight reached away far beyond his own time, up until today.
Fair industry and arts our handmaids stand. The improving age and the enriching land all spin their threads from our exhorting hand. My purpose always was quite clear, to see all education here mixed craft with the most advanced technique. With this in mind, I formed a clique of companies akin to ours, who formed an institute which flowers still.
Of course, the City and Guilds of London Institute.
My drapers I beg to be pleased to endow universities with scholarships and sundry grants and libraries and physics plants. And nearby here, at Mile End too, I found a way to build a new and shining temple for EastEnders to study science's many wonders.
I've got it!
Hush a moment longer, Alice, while he describes the People's Palace.
In London's east, while we all feast, there's food for thought for those who've sought to clamber up by education and so enrich our British nation.
So, when is a palace not a palace?
When it is Queen Mary and Westfield College. Dear Jack, you've been so good to me. You are a god of history. You've answered all my questions through.
Dear honoured friends, since day is done, and you to your own home have come, with all delight that we can make ye, methinks we should not yet forsake ye.
But that strict time will have it so, and parts us whether we will or no. To show our simple skill, that is the true beginning of our end.
We count ourselves especially blessed to have our queen here as our guest. An honour 'tis that she should be a freeman of this company.
Never did we more desire to stretch our love and bounty higher. We state it as our only aim, to serve your majesty, and claim that you are special to us all, the rightful mistress of this hall.
Through charity and education, almshouses, scholarships, and recreation, both young and old, we celebrate our past and pledge thee our devotion while we last.
Her people nothing have to fear.
When we do well, it pleaseth her.
But when we err and make her frown,
She picks us up and dusts us down.
The secret of her faith appears to those who've watched her through the years.
she loveth us to be alive.
And where her love is,
There we thrive.
Her Majesty will now meet the members of the cast. Let's hope the director, Martin Connor, won't need his crib sheet when making the introductions. This is a special moment for this youthful company who've worked long and hard for many months preparing for tonight's performance. They're all second-year students at the Guildhall, a year they'll surely remember for a long time to come.
Thank you.
A nod of approval from Robert Strick to Martin Connor for his fine direction. And for most of them, a feeling of relief and satisfaction that their efforts have been well received. As a free woman of the company, the Queen shares a place with men such as Sir Francis Drake, who, after the defeat of the Spanish Armada, and Lord Nelson after the Battle of the Nile, were both bestowed with the same honour. And so we bring down the curtain on an unforgettable evening. As Her Majesty makes her way back to the palace, the guests and members of the production can take time out now to contemplate the evening's events over dinner. This brings to a close one of the city's most important events, taking place within the home of one of its most illustrious companies.
Very fine cabinet, the stairs, half
You let me buy, sir,
Will you buy a very fine cabinet?
Fair scar.
Or a rich girdle and hangers? See you, madam.